Good evening, ladies. We'd like to welcome you all to the YL OpNet. This is Catherine, AAC4YL Net Control for this evening's net. We meet every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Echolink Alara conference node. Be sure to invite all YLs you know to join us. We ask that only YLs or licensed young lady ham radio operators check in and participate. The purpose of this net is to encourage you to become and stay active with amateur radio, help each other improve our operating knowledge and skills, and have fun. For more ham fun between weekly nets, check out the YL OpNet Facebook group. During the net, be sure to join us in the NFARL Do Drop In chat room by opening any web browser and going to nfarl.dodropin.org. Just put your name - call sign in the box and click Log In. YLs who would like to check in, give us your call sign, name, and current location. And don't forget that there is a 3 to 4 second delay when transmitting through Echolink. This is Catherine, AC4YL. We will now begin taking check-ins. Please call now.
Marcia, November 8, Foxtrot Echo in Huntington Woods, Michigan. Good evening, everyone.
This is Rita, November Echo Zero Delta Bravo, Colorado.
This is KC8PKY, Linda, Knox, Indiana.
Alpha Echo 7, Mike Bravo, Margaret, Battleground, Washington.
W1AYL, Ann, New Hampshire.
This is Kilo Alpha 1, United Lima November, Nisi, Andover, Massachusetts. Good evening.
Kilo Alpha 7, Sierra Kilo Yankee, Sky in Gardner, Washington.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll start with that round of check-ins. I think we still have a few gals popping in here. So far we have Marcia in 8 Foxtrot Echo, Michigan. Good evening, Marcia. Rita in E0DB joining us from Colorado. Linda, KC8PKY, checking in from Indiana. Margaret, AE7MB, joining us from Washington. And W1AYL, joining us from New Hampshire. Nisi, KA1ULN, joining us from Massachusetts. And Sky, KA7SKY, checking in from Washington. Welcome back. Okay, do we have any other YLs who'd like to check in? Please call now.
Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Hotel Uniform. Good evening, all. It's Carol from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Kilo Bravo 4, Radio Mike, Rosemary, Texas.
Okay, very good. So we also have Carol, VA3WHU, joining us from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Good evening, Carol. Rosemarie, KB4RM, joining us from Texas. Good evening to you as well. Nice group here. We may have a few more pop in throughout the net, so we'd like to welcome everybody this evening. Hope everyone is doing well. And it's been a bit of a long week, but it's nice to be able to come back and visit with you ladies and hang out for a little bit and just talk about some ham radio. So to get started, we've got a nice small group here. Let's just take a few minutes and see if anybody out there has anything that you wanted to share with the group this evening or talk about or comment on, or an announcement, or anything that you've been involved in over the past week. Or I know Rosemarie, I think you just came back from a trip overseas. So would love to hear about your trip if you'd like to come in and talk about that. So I think Sky also has been doing some traveling, so it's great to have you gals back here with us. So if you have something that you'd like to tell the group this evening, please call now.
Kilo Alpha 7, Sierra Kilo Yankee.
Please go ahead, Sky. Not picking up any audio from you yet there, Sky. Please go ahead. KA7SKY, AC4YL with the group.
Here we go. Now I got sound. Last week we went on a Caribbean cruise out of Florida. Had to change 3 of our 4 stops because of Maria. One of the places we had to move pretty quickly to get out of to avoid her, but we ended up having a flat water trip and all was well. But did get to see some of the damage in Florida before we took off, and you could just tell from all the winds that were there. There's debris everywhere. Anyway, came back with the Caribbean crud, I guess it's called. So just trying to get well over that. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to be out there, around that kind of weather. Back to net.
Well, very good, Sky. Well, it's great to have you back here with us. We've missed you the last couple weeks, and it's always great to have you. So thanks so much for coming back, and it's great to visit with you, and glad you made it back safely. So thanks, Sky, for coming in and saying hello to the group. Anybody else have anything for the group tonight? Please call now.
KA1ULN. Can I just take 2 minutes, Kat?
Asked me, yes. I came back, not last night, but the night before, from Sweden, and I went to the Silva meeting, which was very, very nice. Of course, I was also in Winnipeg, and this was the next meeting, and we were 38 of us. I think it was 22 YLs, and the rest were OMs, and we were in a small city named Kungsbacka. I'm from Gothenburg, this is just south of Gothenburg, and it was a 3-day trip. 3-day meeting, and I think we were from, of course, the Scandinavian country: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Iceland, and then I came from here, USA. I was the only one. And then there was a couple from New Zealand. I don't have the names in front of me here. And Germany, France, England. So I think those were the different countries. Anyway, it was very nice meeting. We saw some nice things. You're all going to read about it. I'm going to write it up in the harmonics. So, yeah, it was very nice. Weather was good. It was 60 degrees, but it was pleasant from being 90 over here. And as I said, back here now. And what else can I tell you? I might think about something later. So back to you, Catherine.
Okay, very good, Rosemary. Well, sounds like you had a great trip and got to meet YLs from all over the place, so that's always exciting. So yes, if you think of anything else that you want to mention to us about your trip, just put a little note in the chat or just pop in when we got a minute. We'll circle back around to you in a bit. So thanks, Rosemary. Glad you had a nice trip and you're able to actually get out. I know there was some concern there with the timing and getting out of Texas there. So glad you made it, had a nice trip, and made it back safely. And we're looking forward to reading all about it in the next Harmonics issue, which should be out soon from what I understand. So thanks, Rosemary. It's great to hear you. Okay, Nisi also had something that she wanted to share with the group for a couple minutes. So Nisi, it's all yours. K1ULN, AC4YL with the group.
Thanks so much, Kat, and thank you so much for running the net. This is so awesome. And if I can use the words that KC9YL and up in Wisconsin says, it's a great thing that we all feel like we're sisters here. So thank you again, Catherine. This is a great thing. It's an awesome thing. It's a wicked awesome thing. Two things, please. So, I am a member of ARRL. I am district chair for district number 1, and it is really incredible to have this position. Those who are in ARRL, I think the next issue of Harmonics is going to be the yearly issue with all the members in it. So all the names, addresses, emails, and just a little blurb about some people. So, and I think the ballot is also going to be in the Harmonics. So we are, YLRL is looking for district chairs for district number 3 and district number 4. If you're interested, please send me an email. I am good on QRZ, KA1ULN, @mail.com. So let me just reset, and I got one more thing about Anderson power poles. Okay, as you know, so Anderson power poles, if you don't know what they are, I'm sure you've heard people talk about it. They are, so you know the plug that you plug in, you know, when you you charge your phone, you charge your smartphone, you plug it in an AC plug, and that plug that you plug into the wall is what most of the radio equipment used to have. And now the manufacturers are getting smart about that because they know that not everybody plugs everything into the wall. So a lot of devices now, a lot of ham radio devices come with the bare end, you know, the red and the black, or the 2-pole, the wire. It comes with a wire with a bare end. Let me just reset. So I'd like to go more in depth with this and do a presentation on this, but I know a lot of people are talking about it now because more and more of the new radios and the new devices are coming out with bare ends. And you get it and you say, oh no, what am I going to do now? So the more popular in plugs, if you will, that you put on those in are Anderson power poles, POLES. And it's because a lot of other ham radio equipment now is 12 volts DC, And the Anderson power poles are the little red and black connectors. And I think the biggest supplier is West Mountain Radio. West Mountain Radio, they're the ones that make the Rig Blaster and a lot of other things that I'm sure you have something of theirs. So there's just a heads up, if you buy a new device or ham radio equipment, you're probably going to get 2 wires on the end and you're not going to be able to get it home and plug it right in. You got to put some type of connector on it. So with Catherine's permission, I'd like to maybe work with Rhea. Me and Rhea could talk about power, or me and Andrea. Andrea, Kilo 2 Echo Zulu is the power person here. Maybe me and Andrea could talk about, she could talk about the power and I could talk about the Anderson power poles and show how to use them. So, thanks for the time, Catherine. I took longer than I expected. Thank you again so much for running the net. KA1ULN, back to net.
Well, thanks, Nisi. Appreciate your kind words there, and no problem. Thanks for bringing that topic up. It would be most interesting to do. I know that, it's fun. If you gals are interested or curious about Anderson power poles, your next big ham fest you go to, do look for the West Mountain Radio booth and stop and talk to those guys. They actually have a crimping tool set that they sell. It's like a kit, not very expensive, but it comes with the crimping tool you need to crimp on Anderson power poles, and they'll actually give you a tutorial and literally show you how to do one right there at the booth. So stop by, talk to them. They love to talk to hams and show them how this works. So Nisi, it would be a lot of fun to have you and Andrea come in there and talk, and I'm probably going to be reaching out to Rhea to talk to us some more about getting set up for digital modes as well. So a couple things that I'll be reaching out to you gals for. So Nisi, if you want to go ahead and touch base with Andrea and see what week you guys would like to do that, just let me know and we'll schedule it out. So would love to have you gals come on and talk to us about some more about that topic. So thanks, Nisi. It's great to hear you this evening, and thanks again for your kind words as well. Okay, anybody else have anything you want to mention to the group here? Please call now.
This is Marcia, November 8, Foxtrot Echo.
Please, go ahead, Marcia.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm don't know who would have gotten this information already and who hasn't, but I know it's on the ARRL's main page, but the brief part of what they've said is that I'm a PIO for the ARRL, and so that's why I'm distributing this. The ARRL has asked that if anybody approaches us asking us to pass traffic to Puerto Rico or anywhere else for good and welfare, we're to send them to the Red Cross webpage, not to try to pass the traffic ourselves. Also, if any reporters or anyone from TV or any of the news people should happen to approach amateur radio operators, we are to direct them to the ARRL. We are not to answer any questions at all, because they have their own information specifically written for them. So that's what I have to say. Back to net control.
Okay, thank you, Marcia, and you bring up a good point. In fact, something we were going to talk about this evening, not specifically that, but thank you for that information. So, you know, the ARRL has a specific way that they want to handle this, and you gals may have seen there's been kind of a increase of news stories focused around amateur radio operators lately, and we'll probably see even more of that, because right now Puerto Rico is in really bad shape with in terms of communication and power and other issues as well. So given that, you all have probably seen, if you are ARRL members, or you have seen the shared posts on the YL OpNet Facebook group, and maybe some others that several hams have just shared across Facebook. There have been some ARRL articles that have been posted in reference to amateur radio operators and their assistance. In fact, there was a call for volunteers. The American Red Cross had reached out to ARRL and asked for some ham radio operators to be deployed there to assist for, I believe it's a period of 3 weeks. In fact, one of the ham radio operators that will be going is Valerie Hotsfield. She's been on this net a couple of times, and of course you all probably know her from Ham Nation and the YL focused episode that they had not too terribly long ago. So she will be one of the ham radio operators that will be deployed to Puerto Rico to assist for a 3-week period, and they will be provided kits. So back to Marcia's point, they're only going to simply relay traffic out from inside of Puerto Rico, not inbound traffic. So we really don't have a way to get that information that way. We want to direct them, as Marcia said, to the Red Cross site. I'll see if I can dig the link, or if somebody can dig up the link and put it in the chat. That would be great as well. Let me pause for a reset. Okay, so again, as we mentioned, there is an increase of news stories around amateur radio operators, hence no doubt why ARRL is requesting ham radio operators to handle that a certain way, especially if you have an amateur radio license tag on your car. That kind of is advertisement, so to speak. In a way, that's good. It can stir up some conversation about amateur radio and what we can do for the community, and that we are doing that. And there are a group that is assisting with that in various locations in terms of getting traffic out of Puerto Rico and current conditions and information there, as well as within Puerto Rico to help. I believe last I had read in one of the articles, they are pretty much operating on 2 meters on the 14652 frequency there in Puerto Rico. Of course, that's a simplex frequency, national calling frequency here in the United States. So, and territories owned by the U.S. So those are a lot of the communication, because a lot of the police communication towers are dependent on power and internet connection as well. So a lot of the repeaters and structures, even in the ham community, have been damaged. So there's a lot of damage there, and the ham radio operators are working around that to make sure that communication is established across Puerto Rico, and helping with those efforts. So you may get questions. Somebody may see your tag and come up to you and ask for your help, or what can you do to help them, or may just ask you questions in general. So just be aware and prepared to handle those kinds of situations. If they're just asking for general amateur radio information, of course you can direct them to ARRL's website. And then if they're looking for health and welfare information, they need to go to the American Red Cross Health and Welfare form site for that as well. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on that subject while we're talking about it? Please go ahead and call now. Okay, not hearing anything. Let me see if I can find real quick the website for that form. Give me just a second here. I don't see it offhand, so I don't want to take up a time to try and find it at the moment, but there is, I believe, a link in several of the ARRL articles to get to that site, to get that information, and you can certainly pass that on, and perhaps somebody can post it in the WildOpNet Facebook group page as well. So thanks, Marcia, for letting us know that information. We certainly appreciate it. But, this gives us some things to think about in the event, with everything that has happened recently, the earthquake and the 2 earthquakes in Mexico, and then the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Maria. All of those things have given us amateur radio operators an opportunity to use the skills that we learn to help others. And when you really think about it, you think about the things that we do in the hobby that we just enjoy doing, building antennas or contesting or field day. All of those things, operating digital modes, all of those things are in of themselves also ways to help us prepare and be able to assist others. So you might think, well, field day is kind of obvious. Why do we do field day? Well, field day is an opportunity for amateur radio operators to show the community that in the event of an emergency, we have the ability to set up antennas on the fly and hook them up independent of commercial power, and be able to communicate with others. So it's a way to demonstrate to the community what amateur radio is all about and how we can help. Let me pause for a reset. Okay, so field day, that's one of the things that you do. Well, what else do we do on field day? Well, a lot of you that may participate in field day with a club or a group may have some of the local politicians come by, whether it be county or senators or state politicians come by and show their support for amateur radio, but also perhaps out of curiosity and they want to know more about amateur radio. It's a way to show them, again, we're demonstrating to the community, to everybody, what we can do, and so it gives them an opportunity to not only see it, but experience it. Take them over to the GOTA station, introduce yourself, take them over to the Get on the Air station, let them sit down, let them know what it's like to operate and participate in amateur radio. So that's just field day. So perhaps when you're thinking about inviting people next year to field day, and again, it's always the 4th full weekend in June, think about it. This affords you an opportunity to invite folks to field day, whether it be neighbors or people you run into that may, again, see the tag on your car, or maybe you're wearing an amateur radio shirt into a store and somebody asks, well, what's that? Strike up a conversation when you're in line at the register. It gives you an opportunity to tell them all about amateur radio, and who knows, they may become a fellow ham, and they may be the next person that goes out to Puerto Rico or to another place that is impacted by an emergency situation and needs help. You don't know whether that person might be somebody that ends up doing just that, and helping others and saving others by doing that, and becoming an amateur radio operator. So that's just Field Day, and encouraging people to attend that. Let me pause for a reset. We're like, okay, so Field Day's kind of obvious, right? We kind of know that's what that's about. Well, what about contesting? What does contesting have to do with preparing us to assist in various situations when asked to help? Well, what is contesting? A lot of contests are about making a certain number of contacts, or as many contacts as you can within a given limited time period, or only on certain bands, or only for a certain period of time, or you're trying to reach a certain group of people. Well, what does that do? It helps you learn how to handle traffic. What do you mean by traffic? Well, exchange of information. We talked about the basics of contesting, and one of the things we talked about was the exchange. Well, what's an exchange? Well, an exchange is just the information, the pieces of information that you are required to give to the person you're making contact with on the radio, and they are required to give to you. And only then can you count that contact, once that exchange is complete and confirmed with the other party on the air. Only then can you actually count that contact. If the band drops and you don't catch that piece of information, that one piece out of 3, you can't log that contact because you don't have that third piece of information that's required. Well, what does that do? Well, in an event of an emergency, you're what? You're accepting traffic from somebody that may be passing information to you about things that they need, or aid that they need, or location of where they are. So you're learning to handle traffic and how to exchange information between yourself and another party. So that in of itself is a practice situation to do it, and do it well, and get better at it, and better your equipment so that you can hear things better, so that you can operate better, so that you can reach certain areas better. So in that sense, that's one way that contesting can really help you in training on a basic level and helping. Let me pause for a reset. So, thank you very much, Nisi, for posting that link for the Safe and Welfare link for the Red Cross, and getting that. And it looks like you got it over in the Dewdrop In chat as well. Thanks, Marcia. I see you posted that as well, so that's great. So, that's how Field Day and contesting can help. Well, is that all? I mean, okay, great. I contest and I participate in Field Day. So if I'm willing to help, I just go out and do it? Well, no. There's also a process. It's a very organized and structured process. Marcia came in and told us what the American Radio Relay League, or ARRL, has informed us and educated us on how we need to handle situations right now as they may arise, because of the increase in now awareness of amateur radio, because of what we're doing and assisting with the folks in Puerto Rico and the traffic from there. So what other avenues are there? Well, a lot of you have heard a lot of terms probably passed around and may not be as familiar with them. What are we talking about? We're talking about ARES. ARES. What's ARES? Well, I think it's Amateur Radio Emergency Service. Yes, but what is it? How about RACES? How about Saturn? What is all of that? We heard Hurricane WatchNet. What's that? All of those things are in place for these types of events. And so I thought it'd be good. We will probably spend some time over the next couple weeks talking a bit about those: Skywarn, ARRL, RACES, FEMA, CERT, Saturn. All of those things are all about how amateur radio is involved in assisting in an event of an emergency, or after an emergency takes place, or during an emergency and passing traffic, or working at shelters and helping establish communication. That's one of the major elements about being an amateur radio operator that is there, that you can certainly volunteer to assist in. So that being said, what we've covered so far, does anybody else have any comments or questions or anything that you want to mention about the topic so far? Please call now.
November 8, Foxtrot Echo.
Please go ahead, Marcia.
Idea of where you're going with this, and you're right, it isn't something that we can handle thoroughly with just 1 hour and a half. I'd like to suggest that we could not just say it here, but also put it on the both the YLOpNet and also on the YLRL page as a note from this net that we're going to do this, and then also in preparation for the next time, this is what we suggest. My suggestion is that the first kind of like homework assignment, okay? This is the teacher in me. Go to your county ARPSC website, Alpha Papa Romeo Sierra Charlie. They usually will have a website, and they might even have on there what their credentials are, what they say you have to have. My county requires 5 classes. If they don't have it there, you could even contact them. They're usually free. FEMA, let me get a reset. There's usually these FEMA courses that you take online, and you can investigate this. The classes that these 50 people had to take are the same ones that, like, my county requires. And so that's something that if you're going to volunteer, you usually have to get. But anyways, I think that it's that kind of thing might be something that we could look into to note. I'll send it back to Net Control.
Well, thank you very much, Marcia. Appreciate your additional comments. And I posted a couple of links to help you gals get started and learning a little bit more if you're not familiar with ARRL or the public service resources that are out there. ARRL's website does such a great job of posting a bunch of information. I mean, you could just spend days and days and days on there reading more and more stuff, aside from their store that has, lots of books and other additional educational information. Just browsing through the website, there's amazing information out there, And a couple of those links that I posted are actually to the ARRL page on the ARRL website. Again, it's Amateur Radio Emergency Services, what ARRL stands for. And in that page, if you just go to that one, at the very top, there's 2 manuals you can download. There's the ARRL manual and the ARRL Field Resources manual. There's a ton of information just in those 2 manuals there. There's also information on ARRL's membership requirements and how to get involved, a link to the ARRL's registration form, which you would submit to your local emergency coordinator. And if you scroll on down, there's more information. If you're an individual emergency communication volunteer, you can learn more about the Emergency Communications Training course. There's a course you can take, and as Marcia mentioned, there are some free government courses that you can take through FEMA that are most interesting. In fact, I think Janice, K4IJK, was on and mentioned some of those as well that were free that she has taken as a member of Skywarn as well. So good information there, and they're free. They don't cost anything to take a lot of these, so you can learn a lot just on your own for the sake of learning, if you will, and you're interested in that. So there's a lot of information on how to get involved and how to get started, and finding ways to volunteer. And the first place to start would be with your local ARRL team and perhaps the ARRL website. Let me pause for reset. Right there on that page also, if you scroll down past under Volunteers Wanted and the little links under there, below that there's 4 boxes, and one of them is ARRL's by section. You can find your section emergency coordinator and section leaders. Right there, there's a link to learn more and locate who that is in your area. And, ask them questions. Again, stop by. Most of them will have a local ARRL's booth at a local hamfest. So, stop by. Talk to these folks. Ask them questions. That's why they're there. That's why they have a booth there. Not just to look good, right? But to help us learn and to help educate all of us to learn more about emergency service and how we can help on that level and get involved in amateur radio that way. So again, as Marcia mentioned, it's a lot of information to cover, and would like to go through some of the very basics, and some of the things I thought might help off the bat would be learning some of the terminology that we hear now. Marcia threw out some acronyms, and it's funny, at my work, at my job, we have a lot of acronyms, and I've been with this particular company that acquired the company I worked for before for about 3 years now, going on 4 next May. But they have acronyms that they use. I still don't know what they mean. So I thought it might be helpful to pull together some terms that are more geared toward the emergency service side, such as RACES, ARRLs, CERT. A lot of us have heard of FEMA, but how does it relate? Not just what the acronym is or what the words are specifically, but what is it? What is ARRLs? What is CERT? What is RACES? What do they do? Why are they here? Those kinds of things. So keep that in mind as well, and we can start up a list. I know a lot of you gals found that helpful. I did too, as well, as we go through. It's a lot of fun, and we can learn a lot of those terms as well. So I'll start putting together a list. Let me pause for a reset. But be thinking about some of those, and jot them down as you think of them. Post them in the YL OpNet Facebook group. I'll get a post going, and we'll just do a reply to that post. I'll put it up. I'll pin the post to the top of the group so that you gals can just comment on that one, so we don't have a bunch of different trails. But let's utilize that post and post amateur radio terms that revolve around ARRL or emergency service aspect of amateur radio. And what we'll do is each week we may go through a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them, and we'll all learn, I'm sure, something new that we didn't know before. So be thinking about them, write them down. If you have participated in ARRL events, or if you're a member of ARRL, be thinking about what you can share with the group to help us learn how to get started, what you did to get started, your involvement in it thus far. What have you been able to do? What are some good skills that helped you in those different events that you participated in? If you've taken some of the certifications through FEMA or through ARRL, tell us about what those are like and the kinds of information that are on them. Be thinking about those things and what you can share with the group so that we can hear from all of you and give everybody that has participated or who's interested an opportunity to learn more, and you can tell everybody about that aspect of amateur radio. We really want to hear that. I see some posts going on over in the Do Drop In chat. Michelle's posted quite a bit, so Michelle obviously has been involved quite a bit in ARRL. So you have 44 people that get on your ARRL net every week. That's wonderful, Michelle. Would you like to mention anything about your ARRL net, what you cover on that net? We'd love to hear a little bit and your comments on it if you like. W5MQC, AC4YL with the group.
WA4YL for Etchetia.
Okay, Dawn, I do have you checked in, so good evening to you. It's good to have you here, and I see you've also taken several of the courses as well. So I'd like to circle back around to you in just a minute. I wanted to see if Michelle is around. If Michelle, you wanted to mention anything about your ARRL net and your involvement in that and the tests you've taken, what that's like. Maybe you could just give us a brief overview on your involvement. That would be awesome. W5MQC, AC4YL with the group.
Work our radios in reverse, see who can still work right away. There was one time where we had everybody had to call in and then had to say what their nearest intersection was so that they can call for different reports. And of course we're always calling in storm reports. And then one time we had one person who was supposedly turned over in their car almost underwater and just keyed up their mic, and with nobody leaving their house we were able to get within a mile of his location. So those are just some of the fun stuff. They're always creative and you never know what you're going to get on our net. I will turn it back to you. What an awesome net tonight, W5MQC.
Okay, very good, Michelle. Well, I apologize if I doubled with you. I was acknowledging Dawn and then passing the mic back to you, and when I released the mic you were already talking, so I'm not sure who heard what. I didn't hear the front part of your transmission, so my apologies for that. But it seems like everybody else heard you, so that's cool. That's great. That works for me. So very good, Michelle. So I apologize, but for me, if you can just come back and maybe kind of repeat what you said. I don't want to miss what you said. Michelle, if you can come back, I apologize, but I did not catch the front part of your transmission. Back to you.
W5MQC. Now if I can only remember what I said. I guess I was just talking about, we have a rather large ARRL group, most of it because we're in Oklahoma, everything from tornadoes to earthquakes and everything else.
But within our ARRS group, we have ARRS will do emergency testing. Of course, we have our ARRS net. We have a DMR ARRS net, a 440 ARRS net. And then on our nets, you never know what you're going to get. The net control can say anything like, today we're going to go ahead and I want everybody to work in reverse. Let's see who can work. You know, repeaters down or whatever, so everybody see who can get in. We'll do tests like everybody call in your nearest intersection. We did one where they just called and said, there was a storm came through on a Sunday, everybody check in, who's at Red Cross, and we actually did real drills with it. So our area is very active and very well participated here, and I think most everybody's taken all the FEMA classes, all the storm warning classes. Of course, they all get taught here in Oklahoma, right in town with some of the members of our clubs. So a great net tonight, really enjoy it. I will turn it back to you, W5MQC.
Well, thanks, Michelle. Appreciate you coming back and repeating that. Apologize to those of you that had no problem copying her and was able to get all of that on the first go-round. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. It's great to hear you, and thanks so much for being here tonight. Glad you were able to make it and share your experiences with us. So that's a great idea. I think it's really neat that your local ARRS group does those practice runs on the repeater. That's fantastic. Of course, there's the annual SET, SET. There's a term right there, right? Simulated Emergency Test. It takes place, I believe, in October every year. So that should be up and coming if I have the month correct. So, you know, again, that's another opportunity to get your feet wet and experience what that is like. And again, if you're not sure or you have questions, reach out to your local ARRS group and ask them. They'll be more than happy to help you learn more about getting involved in that aspect of amateur radio. So thank you very much, Michelle. Certainly appreciate that. Okay, let's go to Dawn. Let's circle back around to Dawn. Dawn took some tests, and I know, Dawn, you've done some things in your area as well as far as passing traffic and assisting at shelters. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the group about those experiences, Dawn? WA4YL, AC4YL with the group.
This is WA4YL. Well, recently during Irma, I couldn't go help in a shelter this time because I had to stay home and help my parents. So I operated from home and passed traffic from home, let people know if I had electricity or not, and passed on messages, and they assigned me the relay to be a relay station in case people couldn't reach the repeater. So I did that, and then I tried to pass traffic onto Puerto Rico, but I had no success in that. But I've done a lot of things for my community, including manning at assisting at the foot races, and then I had to report a bike that go down, went right over the handlebars of her bike and started bleeding, so I had to report that. So I had experiences in community events, manning the shelter, which was an experience in itself, and I also, when I'm doing Hamfest, I do the talk-ins, but this last time with Irma, I monitored the station most of the day and most of the night and helped out as much as I could. And fortunately, nobody was hurt. I didn't have to report injuries, just reported a few trees down and electricity and power was out, and that's it. Back to net control. WA4, YL.
Thank you very much, Dawn. And You know, Dawn shared some great examples there too of other ways to practice passing traffic or getting involved in things that would assist you, such as she mentioned, the talk-in for a hamfest, where you're giving directions and helping people locate. That's a great way to practice giving that type of information over the air. But Dawn also highlighted that, you know, in the event of an emergency or a disaster situation, or after the aftermath of such, just because you're participating in Aries doesn't always mean you have to go somewhere. You know, there may be times when you're asked to assist from your home or wherever you're located. If you're at your office for work, you know, wherever that may be, you may be asked to report information from that location. So you don't necessarily have to be sent somewhere to help. You may be asked to help right where you are. So thank you very much, Dawn, and I know that they appreciate your hard work and help and being willing to help out down that way. And I know you've helped with other events in the past as well. And you know, being in Florida, there's tropical storms and hurricane issues that come through. And, you know, there's certainly a need to have quite a few that are involved in that. So, anybody else participate in any of these kinds of events or have any comments that you might like to add to the topic this evening? Please call now.
N8FE.
Please, go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, I'm really involved here with, like I say, the local Aries group, which we have several events that we practice as a group, and I'm the coordinator for the monthly siren test. We have sirens up here for the tornadoes, and so we have to test them every month. And so we use the local repeaters, and the first Saturday of the month, why we go and to the siren itself and make sure it goes around, and that every test to see if the siren can rotate, that the equipment's okay. And so people, you know, I've got, on an average month I'll have 16 people that will do that, and then I report it to the county, and then I would say on an average year we'll have 6 or 7 activities that we do, whether it's runs or walks or but the most famous one we do is what we call the Dream Cruise, and everybody has a good time. Let me get a beep. Let me get and the Woodward Avenue Dream Cruise in Royal Oak, Michigan. It's actually, let's see, that would be the largest one-day car rally from. I'm being reminded what to say here. But it goes from 9 Mile to 14 Mile Road, so it's 5 miles long. And let me tell you, it's absolutely bumper to bumper to bumper, old-fashioned cars, and there's over 1 million people on one day. But so we help the police. We are the eyes and ears of the police, and they rely on us, and it's amazing to do that. But so that's our most fun activity, and to watch the old cars. And so we get to do that, and we get free food too. They feed us. But anyway, so, but yes, that's a fun thing to do. And, you know, why not? You get to practice. And now we're getting involved with the hospitals. So they found out after 4 days of no electricity with the great outage that the hospitals need to have radios. But that's for another conversation. Back to net control.
All right, very good, Marcia. Well, hang on to that one, and maybe we could touch on that next week. Very good. Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up because, see, you know, when you're helping and you're practicing, you know, you can have fun. That's okay. You know, the whole point is to enjoy the hobby, not just because it's quote fun, but because you're getting fulfillment out of it in being able to learn and practice helping other people. And sure, you can have a good time at the same time, and you know, who can turn down free food, right? So thanks, Marcia. Appreciate your additional comments on that, and that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll have to look that one up and learn a little bit more about that event. That's awesome. I know they do a car show in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee every year, and I just happened to be there at the time that was either winding down or kicking off. So that was a whole lot of fun to see all the cars there, and enjoyed that immensely, even though I didn't participate in the actual events there. So very cool. Thank you, Marcia. Appreciate that. Okay, so anybody else have any additional comments on the topic? Please call now.
KC8PKY.
Well, good evening, Linda. I just knew you were going to jump in here as well. Just to take 1 second, I haven't seen Ann on here. WB1ARU. Margaret, any chance on an HF net tonight, or how's the band, real quick, and then we'll circle back around to Linda.
Hey, that helps if I punch the button. Let me check the bands. The radio's in a different room than the computer, of course, so I get to run back and forth between the two. So go ahead and take Linda, and I will be back after that. Over.
Sounds like a plan there, Margaret. Thank you very much. Didn't want to forget about the HF net for you gals that want to hop over there and test out your equipment on HF. Let's go back to Linda, and then we'll check back in with Margaret. So KC8PKY, AC4YL with the group.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it short so we can see what Margaret has to say. We did for several years, we participated in the Detroit Windsor Free Press Marathon, and that actually is an international event because they go to Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and back into Detroit. And so that gets quite interesting because you have hams from both countries participating in that. And several years ago, we had a situation within about 4 to 5 minutes, we had 3 runners go down, all in the same area. So it got very interesting very quickly, and everything was called in by the ham radio operators that were there. And I would say if you're going to take any of those classes, take the most recent ones because they update a lot of them. And the other thing is, think about the area that you live in because there's a lot of different FEMA courses that are offered that might be specific, might be very helpful in the area that you live in. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate your comments there and advice as well. So, again, check in with your local ARRL group and learn about what's required for your local area. And then, of course, feel free to take any additional ones that you would like to. But you may want to start with the ones that are required so that you can key in on those and be prepared for that information as well. So thank you, Linda, and as Linda mentioned, make sure you are taking the current courses as well. So thanks, appreciate that, Linda. Okay, let's see if Margaret is back with any info on the band. She may not be. We might not have talked long enough. Hi. So Margaret, do we have an update? And if you're not there, we'll try again in a minute. AE7MB, AC4YL with the group. Okay, nothing from Margaret yet. She's probably, I don't know how far the other room is. Could be down at the other end of the hallway. So it does take a minute to tune around, throw those headphones on, and see what's going on. So do we have any other comments real quick? And then we will check back with Margaret. Anybody else have something that you'd like to add? Perhaps you participated in an ARRL or event. Whether it be a marathon or helped in a bike race or an event, perhaps a 4th of July event or some other such event local to your area where you've assisted, please call now. Okay, not hearing anyone yet, but Margaret is back, so let's check back in with her real quick and see how HF is going. AE7MB, please go ahead from AC4YL with the group.
There isn't too much going on 14 whatever. But I did manage to listen in on one conversation between someone in 7 land, where I am, and one in 5 land. And I could hear the 7 land with no problem. 5 land, I knew he was there, but couldn't make it out. So I think that Gray Line is catching us again. Let's try again next week and just continue with the conversation here. This is AE7MB.
Okay, very good, Margaret. Well, thanks for checking that out. We didn't want to forget about that. So we appreciate that. Well, Shirley has joined us. Shirley, good morning to you. We were just going through some things about the emergency service side of amateur radio and getting involved in that. And I'm not sure how current you are on events out this way, but I'm sure you've heard about Hurricane Harvey, the 2 earthquakes in Mexico, and then the Hurricane Irma and then Maria, all coming through pretty much back to back. So ham radio activity has certainly been on the rise as we've been asked to assist, especially most recently with Puerto Rico and the poor state that it is currently in at the moment. And 50 amateur radio operators have been asked to deploy to Puerto Rico for a period of 3 weeks for sending outbound traffic only. So that's what's been going on out this way, Shirley. And so we are covering some information on getting involved in in the emergency side of amateur radio service, and the different terms around that, and who's already involved in it, and the different events and things they've participated in. But not to take away from that topic, but Shirley, anything that you would like to tell the gals here, since you are able to make it this week? We'd love to know how you're doing. If you'd like to just say hello, please go ahead, Shirley. VK5YL, AC4YL with the group.
AC4YL, VK5YL. Thank you, Catherine. Sorry I'm late, ladies, but the internet would not let me connect to Echolink. Then the internet went down, the phones were working, and then the internet came back, but I wasn't quick enough, because as quick as a flash, it disconnected again. So after a few minutes of, well, half an hour actually, frustration, I'm finally here. I'm so glad you extended from 10:30 to 11, my time here in Adelaide. Yeah, the emergency situation over in your part of the world we are aware of. I remember my OM spoke with a lady in Andaman, Aceh, before the big earthquake quite a few years ago. I know that a lot of the amateurs here in Australia were helping with emergency traffic then. And on the Anzanet on Monday afternoon here, it starts about 2:45 in the afternoon, but it will change to an hour later because our clocks move. But we had a kind of an emergency. We had a very frustrated YL on the net, and we didn't know what was happening. And it was just amazing the way everybody on the Anzanet, maybe about 30 people, just stood by, and only those that could help with speaking the language of this YL came forward. There were phone calls, Facebook things. They finally found out her address, and there was a shop next door, and they rang the shop and told them what had happened, and they went to check on this YL, and everything seemed to be okay. So it was just a fantastic feeling that the amateurs in this world really do help out other people. The guys, mainly on the internet, were just so they were just so willing and just stepped back. It was quite emotional, actually, that I found that these people were willing to help so very, very quickly. Some had friends in that country, some knew people in that country, but yeah, it was just fantastic. So that's my sort of touch with emergency. But before I sign off, or just listen on the background, I'd like to pass a message to Susie. I did see her on the screen before, but she's not there. But I did, if you're listening, Susie, I did receive the hard copy of Buckeye Bells, but I've got no idea why the email address to us did not work when you tried to send it via email. So I do have the copy, but just keep trying on the email address, please, Susie. Okay, I hope everyone is well and are away from all these emergency dramas. The weather here seems to be warming up, and I've rambled on too much. So back to you, Catherine. Thanks for letting me in. AC4YL, this is BK5YL.
No worries at all, Shirley. We always love to hear you, and anything that you have to say, we love to hear from you, and you add that nice international touch and worldwide touch to the group here, and it's great to have gals from all over the place, and having Carol in here from Canada, and all you ladies all over the U.S., and everybody brings, yourselves to the group, and we love it. And I think Nisi put it well earlier, and Anne, KC9YL has commented on it, as well as Alita, and we're all family here, and it's wonderful to be able to come together and chat with each other and hear how we're doing and talk about ham radio and have fun doing it. So thanks, Shirley. So glad you were able to make it. And yeah, talk about internet trouble. Been having a bunch of issues lately myself, and finally got the internet provider technician out here to replace some connectors, which was causing the connection to drop on a regular basis, which, that just drives you nuts. It's amazing how dependent we become on that. But, the funny thing was my radio still worked in my car. Go figure. So, if all else fails, amateur radio, right? But yes, Shirley, enjoyed your comments too about your story there, and it can be quite emotional, not even if you're directly involved, but to hear it, and the camaraderie and how hams come together to help other people in the event of an emergency issue. So, it's an amazing thing to see and to witness. So, thanks, Shirley, again for your comments, and thanks so much for being here. Who else has something that you'd like to add to the conversation here? Please go ahead and call now, AC4YL. Okay, not hearing anyone, so again, as kind of a recap, there were a couple of links or a few links that were put in this evening during this discussion on this topic. Two of them are from ARRL.org/Aries, and the other is ARRL.org/public-service-resources. And Marcia, I know you asked for the links, so what we'll try and do is get the links together in a list and put them on the WyoOpNet Facebook group so everybody can access them as we continue on and a little bit about this topic. Maybe we can just spend a few minutes each week and talk about one or two things tied to this topic, because it seems to be one of interest, I think, to all of us. So, also, Linda posted the RACES website, www.usraces.org. That's spelled USRACES.org. So thank you, Linda, for that. And Marcia also posted the link for the Red Cross Health and Welfare site, request form site as well, in both chat rooms. So encourage you to check those out. Feel free to download the ARRL manuals, and you don't have to sit there and read the entire thing, but maybe skim through some of the information there. And if you think of other things, your experiences that you'd like to talk about in assisting with various ARRL events or participating with your local ARRL group, please, jot them down, make a note so that you can come in and tell us about it over the next few weeks. We certainly would love to hear those experiences from you. Also, we covered talking about how the various ham radio activities that we do participate in can help prepare us to assist in the event of an emergency, such as field day, contesting, participating in local events, whether it be a bike run, a marathon, any of those kinds of events. All of those are designed to help us practice passing traffic and following instructions in the manner in which it's to be done. Let me pause for a reset. Also encourage you all to, if you have an interest and you have not participated in anything to do with ARRL, please, at the next Ham Fest that you go to, if you're going to one in the next, few weeks, stop by the local ARRL booth and talk to them. You can also reach out to them and locate them through one of the links, the ARRL link to the ARRL.org site. You can actually click there and locate your local ARRL group that way. But most local clubs also have an ARRL subsection or a separate group that is in your local area. So I encourage you to reach out and learn more that way as well. Get involved, participate, and have fun doing it. You know, we talk about the more serious side, but there's a fun side too. The camaraderie you get with fellow hams and meeting new hams and exploring other ways to get involved in amateur radio. And it all kind of comes together with that. I mean, you put together all the things that you've done, contesting, building antennas, putting up antennas, the different types of antennas that perhaps you've been involved in playing with, different radios, and you know how all of that together can all be a benefit in helping you prepare to help out with emergency situations as well. So thank you to all of you for your comments and questions as well. Let's go ahead and open it back up to the group and see if anyone has any other announcements or comments that maybe you thought of through the course of the net. Does not have to be about ARRL or emergency service, just anything in general that perhaps you thought about and went, oh, I forgot to mention this. Anything you'd like to share with the group, please call now, AC4YL. I'm not hearing anyone, so before I forget, Melanie AG4YL asked me to say hello to all of you for her. She had to work this evening, so I'll pass that traffic along. And Carol, I see you posted something about an Elmira Hamfest this Saturday. Do you have just a minute to tell the gals about that, what that's about?
Sure do, Victor Alpha 3 Whiskey Hotel Uniform here in Hamilton, Ontario. Yes, it's actually the first time I've been to it. I used to work on Saturdays, and now I am with the transfer that I had in the job and in my new position. I work Monday to Friday, so I was able to visit this Hamfest on Saturday. Quite looking forward to it. It's a Hamfest and Computer Fest, whatever that means. My husband Brian, Victor Alpha 3 Bravo Golf November, went down with his friend Ahmed last year, Victor Alpha 3 Tango Uniform. What's his call sign? Anyway, they went down together last year and they said it was a really good Hamfest. The only downside to it is that we've got to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning for this one. It's a 4-hour drive from Hamilton, Ontario South. It's in the Southern Tier Expressway, close to the Pennsylvania border. So I will let you know. I'll post some pictures and I'll get in touch with everybody here next week, and we'll follow up on that, and I'll let you know how it is. But apparently it's a good one, and the weather's looking not too bad either. We had a heat wave here in Ontario. I don't know how far south this heat wave went, but it was up in the 30s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today it was back down to a normal or around 20-degree day, so looking for good weather this weekend too, not too hot. Over.
Oh, very good, Carol. Well, that's exciting. That's great. I hope you guys have a fantastic time and a safe trip, and you know, maybe if Brian's driving, you can get a little nap in there on the way down, right? Very good. Well, great. We look forward to seeing those pictures and hearing more about your trip there, Carol. Maybe if you can make it on next week, you can tell us all about how that went. Thanks so much for being here tonight, Carol. It's great to hear you out there as well. And, you know, I was just thinking, I think, Linda, you guys have been busy working on a tower project out where you are, aren't you? How's that coming along? I saw you just posted a few pictures this evening on Facebook. So how's that project coming along, Linda? KC8PKY, AC4YL with the group.
Okay. Well, it's coming along. My husband's assembling been working on the antenna. We've got a Mosley Class 33 tri-band beam to run there. We got it used, so we had to get some new trucks for it. We took old ones out. They were, you know, plastic was acting broken, and said, you know, we're going to put something there. It's going to be 40 feet up in the air. We don't want to take it down and if something happens to it. So We're working on that, and he assembled boom today. So it's coming along. Tested the rotor, done a preliminary study, and that's been around. So it's getting there. Back to net. He'll let me out of here.
Okay, very good, Linda. Well, there was some interesting sound effects. I'm not sure if maybe your mic connection has come just slightly loose, but it was kind of warbly, for a lack of a better phrase. Is that a technical term? I guess it is now. So I don't know if it's just from a little loose connection or something, but we were able to copy some of what you said. Obviously, your project is still going with a few hurdles to overcome. Any idea of about when you think you'll have it complete there, Linda?
Well, we're not sure yet. He works on every day as long as one other stays nice and not raining. So we'd like to head up by sweet checks. Whether it'll happen or not depends on all parts and just getting put together. And we've got to get pulled up. So not sure, but hopefully soon.
Okay, well, very good, Linda. Well, we'll just keep bugging you. See, maybe we can help motivate you guys to finish that up, right? We'll just ask you every week, right, and see if it's done yet, right? No, just teasing you there, Linda. Well, very good. Hopefully, you guys will be able to get that project done and have your tower up and done soon, and have a lot of fun making a lot of contacts with that. We look forward to seeing the completed pictures as well. Okay, well, we're about at the end of the net, so what I'd like to do is see if we have any YLs who have joined us, licensed female amateur radio operators who have joined us, who have not had an opportunity to check into the net this evening. If you would like to do so, please give us your call sign, your name, and your current location, and call now, AC4YL. Okay, not hearing anyone, so do we have any final comments for the net this evening?
This is WA4YL. As always, Catherine, you did a great job tonight, and everybody else on here did a great job, and hope to catch us all next week. 33 and good night from WA4YL.
Okay, very good, Dawn. Well, thank you very much, and it's great to have you here with us. And I guess that will wrap up the net for us then this evening. Please don't forget to visit our YL OpNet Facebook group. Again, I will pin a post at the top of the page this weekend for you gals to be able to add terminology that is applied to amateur radio emergency service. Also, if you gals think of any of your experiences there or have comments on that topic, please feel free to pop over there and share them. We'll also try and get the links posted as well for you ladies so you can catch up on that. Lauren was unable to live stream for us this evening, but this net was recorded, or is being recorded still, so it will be posted up on YouTube this weekend. I will get it up there for you gals so you can all listen to it later, or feel free to pass this net recording link on to anyone that might have an interest in amateur radio and what it's about and what this net is about. Feel free to let them know they can find us, the YL OpNet YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook, YL OpNet Facebook group. You do have to request to join, and you do have to be a licensed female amateur radio operator to be to join, but we're happy to have you, so we'd love to have you here with us. But we would like to take a moment to thank Lauren at KC9ZHV, who normally does our live streaming and recording in the net. We'd also like to take a moment to thank Alara for the use of this Echolink conference node, the North Fulton Amateur Radio League for their Dewdrop-In chat room, and all who are linked and listening for your ongoing support of this net. This is Catherine AC4YL closing out the YL OpNet, returning the Alara conference node back to normal use. 33 ladies, thank you so much. Have a great week, and we will catch you next Thursday. 33.